KLS 59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And I guess I'm by myself today. So welcome everybody to my daily gun show. I come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, for about an hour and 90 minutes. And let's see, I will talk about different topics, 3 different topics each day, different topics throughout the week. I run it on YouTube and simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. I built gunchannels.com a while back as a community focused on firearms. There's other people there, but I don't know. I'm thinking about closing out a lot of those accounts. And then we are watching the live chat out there, but mostly so that I can chat with myself on there. And then let's see, we also will let it render into a video, and I'll take the audio and turn that into a podcast on iTunes, but you don't have to listen to it. I just do that so that I can listen to it later. And then there's hosts sometimes, but I'm thinking about running this solo from now on. Solo YOLO is the new tag phrase for the show. So I don't know what happened to everybody. Bob is no longer with us. Dano, not sure what happened with Dano, but he's not with us today either. And then Z, I don't know what's going on with Z. So I care about the listeners, so I figured let's start the show up. So it might be a really short show because whenever I have to do them by myself, they get really short. But we'll see. And I don't see Smeggy out there either, so we're batting 1 for 4 here. So anyway, we've got some topics to talk about today. It's episode 248. CCW is the first topic. Traveling while carrying. Let's see, carrying while going to work. I don't know, that's kind of boring, so I don't know how much I'll talk about that. Then we'll have our second segment, entertainment, the book club. I could probably talk about that for a bit. And then we'll have our tactical quiz. Today we're going to do an audio tactical quiz, so that'll be awesome. And then we can talk about the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum for a little bit. And let's see what we got for gun of the day over here. We're on the Ring of Fire collection this week, so we'll be talking about Ravens. Those are always fun. And then we got some movie that's pretty good. So we'll dig into it. I'll ask myself if anything happened overnight. Nah. After our show, pretty much the internet shuts down, as far as I know. Waits around for our show to start up the next day. So I think other shows happened. Andalusia Armory was happening right during our show, and Hit or Miss was on. Big Gunner was on last night too, and then I'm pretty sure they had early watch this morning. I was out running around this morning, so I'm not sure. Otherwise, I have no idea what happened in the world. I was working on some projects last night, and then got up and had to run around this morning, so no idea what happened overnight. So I'm going to take a break here and look over at the comments. Nothing's going on, so I'll just dig into it. So we're going to talk about CCW while traveling. Let's see, CCW, traveling while working, carrying a firearm like truckers or businessmen. I ain't a businessman, so I don't know what that's like. I've traveled in an airline with the firearm before, and it's okay. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. We've done it a few times, and like, a third or 50% of the time, there's issues, mainly digging into our bags and just the annoyance of it. So most of us prefer to drive, and we do that. As far as being a trucker, I don't know what it's like being a trucker. We have Heavy, who I think has done some trucking, and I know we've had other guys on the gun channels that have been truckers or are truckers, so we might get some information from them. I'm not sure if those guys carry or not. So there you go. That's that topic. They go quicker when there's nobody here to talk to you. All right, so I guess I'm gonna take us into the second topic. I'm kind of waiting for any lag. If anybody has anything to say in the live chat, feel free to throw it in there, and we'll read it, or I'll read it, I guess. No one wants to show up, and then we'll dig into the next subject, which will be entertainment and gun books. So maybe throw some gun-related book titles out there, perhaps. And we can talk about those. What the hell? All right. So, American Gun, is that a book? Look. Sounds familiar. Oh, Chris Kyle's book. Oh, is that the name of that book? I listened to it on tape. It was pretty good. So that's one of them. I'm pretty sure we have that in the live in the Gun Channels library. You can find that at the top of any page on Gun Channels. We have a menu up there. One of them is media, and down in there somewhere is the library. All right, so let's see. Why don't we dig into that segment? But before we do, oh, I guess I should probably give Z a link so that he can jump in here. Probably needs one. Looks like Smiggy jumped in.
Hello, G-Webs.
Okay. Well, I'm about to wrap up the show. It goes pretty quick when there's nobody here with me. So thanks for jumping in at the last minute. This has been episode...
Wrap up the start?
Yeah, but I get through the topics pretty quick when I don't have anybody here to bother me. So that's episode 248. We will see you next time.
Who won the pop quiz?
Without Dano here, we can't have a pop quiz. The contract, it would be a breach to try to have one. I tried to run the air siren and then it hurt my thumb. So anyway, that thing started.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to steal Dano and Island's job and say, Sean, you are today's hot shot of the day. You just win.
Like if you took a regular podcast and stuck it in the oven like a shrinky dink, and that's what you're getting. You know what that is? You remember that?
I know shrinky dinks, yeah.
Kids don't have them nowadays. They would be like a GIF. It would be like if you had an image and you turned it into a GIF. All right, well, so I think we were about to head into the entertainment segment, but before we jump into the second segment of the show, between the first and second segment, each day we'd like to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. So today we're featuring Flippy. I think he's got numbers after his name, but I don't know if I don't follow the numbers. Well, I'll call him Flippy. He looks like a sad panda. And I think, when we built Gun Channels, we had no idea Flippy was out there. But I'd have to say, after experiencing the Flippy phenomenon, that it's what we built it for. He's come in and really influenced the place. Is that the polite way to say it?
So he's sitting in the afternoon lobby right now. Moon and DB are over there talking.
Yeah. So seriously though, Flippy's a good guy. He's new to firearms and kind of digging into it with both hands and enjoying it and using Gun Channels as a resource, it seems, and then sharing his adventures along the way. I think people are having a good time following along for the most part. But the nice thing about Gun Channels too is if you don't get along with everybody, there's plenty of room. So there you go.
Yeah, you can always start up your own show and hang out with your own peoples if you want.
Yep.
We got no problem posting.
What do you mean
stuff.
by your people? What are you trying to say?
People like you can hang out by yourselves and enjoy gun channels just like anybody, whoever you might be.
That's true.
Anyway, we're just trying to be nice because we're talking about Flippy.
Oh, yeah. Welcome addition to Gun Channels. Brought a little bit of vim and vigor back to it after a while. Definitely appreciate a lot of stuff that Flippy does, whether it just makes me laugh or not. Just saying.
Right. Hashtag Z appreciates Flippy.
Perry Mason, his proof of life. That was me.
He may be just like when he sits alone in the lobby all by himself. So maybe Z just feels bad for him.
Well, it's the only thing sadder than a sad panda sitting alone in the lobby is when a sad panda and the fat Ninja Turtle sit there not talking to each other in the lobby together.
That is kind of sad, actually.
And sometimes there's a snowman looking on.
Just staring at both of them.
Yeah.
And see that? The snowman's the creeper in that one, so he's the weirdest one of them all. Excuse me, I shouldn't gender assume, even though you did say snowman.
You
Did we
can
already
just assume I am a man.
Okay. Did you guys already cover the traveling while working and all that? So I apologize. Oh, damn.
Basically, I said that I've flown and I don't not like it, but I don't like it either, and that I'm not a trucker, so I have nothing to add on that. Is there more than that?
Well,
Wait, what about work? I didn't realize that was the segment I missed. That's kind of my life.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
We were about over. I guess we'll keep going now.
Okay. Because I was going to bring in Marine into the conversation on part of that, too, as something that I remember him having to deal with and talk about from time to time.
More specific, one bad Marine or?
Yes, specifically one bad Marine. But okay.
I hear you. Yeah, he traveled. He wasn't a businessman. It says specifically in here businessman, but he's not really a trucker either. But
no kidding.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys carry while you're traveling? You might.
I don't have it as an option as of yet, but I feel like I would if I could get the carry license wherever I was at. But I don't know what Smeggy's does.
Oh, no, it's I do not carry because the factories I go to when I am traveling don't allow it. And I guess technically I wouldn't be allowed to do it on company business anyways, but they're talking about changing that policy as far as allowing carry in the office and stuff like that. So that would extend on, but it's like, I don't know, if I fly out and then I'm spending at least 12 hours, if not more, in a factory that's against that company's policy to carry, what would I do with just leave it in the hotel room all day or something? I guess I could have it for when I go out to dinner or something after. And I've certainly been there's quite a few locations of factories that are not always in the best areas that I do wish I was carrying, but I don't want to risk my job if I get caught inside that building or something with it.
Is it instant termination? There's no second chances or nothing like that with that particular violation?
I would say basically, let's say, I work with automotive, so let's say I'm at a GM plant. If I get thrown out of a GM plant for carrying a weapon, I am not welcome in any GM plant in the world, which really affects my ability to do my job, because then now my company, which we work with all of them, they can't send me to a GM place. I'm not welcome there. So they would probably get rid of me because now they have no use for me. And same thing with Ford, Chrysler, Kia, any of them, we work with all of them. But yeah, if you get thrown off site for that,
that's
pretty much done.
That's gun discrimination.
Well, but it's still a private entity, private property. They are allowed to make the rules. Now, I don't know how many.
The GM Tech Center, the dude was a valet or something. He saved some lady. Her daughter came in and they got in a fight, and the daughter was stabbing the mom.
What?
And the guy pulled out a gun and he diffused the situation. I don't think he even shot the lady. He just got her to drop the knife, and the cop showed up, and he got fired like that day. And then when it became a big outrage, they said they hired him back, but I'm not sure whatever happened with that actually.
Dang. Yeah, so you're saying, Smags, it's not like it would have just been like a plant in Flint or wherever. And again, I'm sure there's probably not a plant in Flint, but you see what I'm saying? It would literally be global ban from any like GM plant, really?
Yeah, if
That
you
carries that much weight?
Yeah, for something like that. I mean, like, let's say I get thrown off site for a safety violation, not wearing a harness on a ladder or something, then I just can't go back to that work site. And normally they let you back in after a week anyways or whatever. But yeah, if it's like a weapons violation, it goes out, like your credentials are pulled or whatever. Like if the security pulls it up, because you have to get a badge every time you go, and you got to fill out papers and all this stuff to get in through the gate, they would know that, oh, you're not welcome at GM facilities. Or like I said, Ford, Chrysler, whatever. I'm not just picking on them.
So, I mean, I know we make fun of stuff from time to time, but you're legitimately saying that the gravity of the violation basically would change your job, basically.
Because no company would hire me, because at least to do field work. I mean, I could work in office and stuff, but I'm good at being in the factory. So that's one of those things. I've weighed it, and I'll carry a knife with me and a flashlight and be head on a swivel. But it's like when you go to the Ford plant in South Chicago, that's in a horrible neighborhood, and it's just, okay, go straight to work, get in through the fence, and then when you get off of work, just keep driving south and east till you get to Indiana. That's how you deal with that plant.
Damn. See, I knew there'd be some more insight on this one.
Or they're like metal detectors and stuff you could carry. It's just that if the repercussions, if something were to be discovered.
That's correct. I could. There isn't metal detectors. You just go in. But at the same time, too, with the type of work, I'm always crawling through stuff and climbing on top of things, and the chance of someone seeing it or it falling out or something are higher than if I'm just sitting at a desk. So, yeah, I wish I could. I wish it would change. And I guess if you're saying businessman, like if I was going to like a sales meeting or something, like if I was in that level, then maybe I would, because I'd rather be protected than have to worry about it and the chances of something being discovered either. Again, I am one of those people. I'm okay with if I used it and I lose my job for using it. That's a trade-off I'm willing to take.
What about for something like you're walking around minding your business, you fall down a hole, and now you're stuck at the bottom of this hole for a few days, and your foot stuck or whatever, and you got no way to alert people that you're down at the bottom of that hole?
That's a good point. It would have been helpful.
I grabbed my phone.
And actually, in most of the places, I'd probably have to use the gun to defend myself from raccoon-sized rats.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you had unusually large rodents.
So keeping it locked up in a car sounds like a potential option.
Well, then check it out. That was one of the things Marine had brought up before, and he's like, if anything happened to your car for any reason while it's in one of those parking lots like that, whether somebody ran into it or broke into it or a tree fell on it or all of the baloney scenarios that you don't think are ever going to happen, if any one of those things ever happened and then they found your firearm in the car, it's almost the same thing. Now, I don't remember if Marine said that it was immediate termination, but I swear he said something about immediate suspension.
Well, I know his was different because he was driving company cars.
Okay.
That's a little different.
But also on the property of what he was working on, it was not firearms weren't allowed on property either. So if you're in the company parking lot, then it's kind of like a violation on that as well.
Yeah, I know there are some states that have gotten away from that, because basically what they're saying is you can tell employees they can't carry inside. Again, I'm going to go back to factories. You can't go in through the fence, but you can't tell your employees what they can and cannot do in their own car with their stuff. So most of them, I think Michigan actually has that rule. You're a company is not allowed to like get you in trouble because they found something in your car. Now they all still have the signs up saying, hey, it's not welcome on our property in our parking lot. But technically those don't hold weight of law.
So do you think that they could the company potentially still get you, cause you grief, so to speak, even though it might not be a legal issue?
They could, but if they like terminated you, you could probably sue for, false termination. So then they would just write you up for something else, like, oh, you came in 5 minutes late.
Oh, and he's been chronically, da 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 da. See, we have it documented right here. He's a bad seed. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
So I know someone who actually did that. He worked in a factory and he carried, he left it in his car. And, technically, like, you sign up to say, like, they can search your car, like, if they want to by parking there. And there was a fight between two other people, and a dude went out to his car and, like, got a knife and came back in and then, like, got a knife fight with this guy. And then after that started, yeah, it was something crazy. Two people got in a fight, whatever. But after that, word got around that the company was going to start, like, they were actually going to start searching people's cars for weapons, like, randomly. And so he made the decision, well, it's not really worth it to lose my job over it. So he stopped, breaking.
But doesn't that sound like bullshit to be randomly searched in your vehicle entering the establishment? I mean, do they do that on like military bases or top secret stuff? Do they usually do stuff like that? Or am I just going like James Bond here or something? It seems to me to go pretty far.
I've never experienced it.
Because to me, that seems like they're going pretty far if they're going to randomly search vehicles coming onto property. Now, I mean, I understand that, due to the scenario that Smeggy just put forward, I mean, I don't want to say that I can see a reason for them doing it. I'm just saying that's a conclusion that somebody may jump to in management and think that that's going to solve the problem. And I don't necessarily know that it is or will.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they even actually started doing it, but they definitely got the word out that they were going to start doing it, like kind of, rumors and stuff. And it was enough to deter him from, carrying it to work anymore. They ended up shutting that plant down a little bit later after anyways, so. But I don't know. I think in a situation like that, I'd be like, well, oh well. That I'd be willing to make that fight if it's in my car. I didn't do anything wrong.
Well, and do you think, now you just said that plant closed or whatever, do you think that may potentially lead you to, I'm not saying quit, but I'm saying potentially look for work elsewhere when stuff gets to be that level of kind of kooky where they're going to start randomly searching your cars? Does that make you consider getting a different job? I mean, I guess it depends on how good of a job you got, honestly.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I might. I'm not in that situation where I go to the same place all the time, so I don't know what I would do.
He's going with this. If you're concerned about your car being left unattended, perhaps hire an illegal and then just have them stay with your car all day, and they would text you if something happened to your car. They're cheap.
Nope. Don't you know ICE picked up all of those? There are no more. It's no longer an issue.
Then a hobo.
Well, now see, then you're trying to give a job to a homeless person, and that just means you're just trying to boost the economy.
Well, that's what you do when you go to a sporting event, right? You just park in front of a crack house and pay some guy $5 to watch your car.
That's a good.
You better pay him like 20 just in case.
So yeah, Dead Horse is saying that when you go onto a base or whatever or a post that they can search your car. I'm familiar with that. Or at least that's my understanding as well. That when you drive in, you're giving them the authority to look at your car. But that's not the same as a job, like a parking lot of other business or something. Company.
Unless you happen to be a person that is like not like a contractor, but like a subcontractor or something, where you have to go to base and maybe you're the paper salesman or something like that. Because there are civilian contractors that do go on base to sell their product to the base, correct?
I don't know. I probably. I mean, I doubt they bother with like Army air conditioning contractors anymore. You know.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean too. So I mean, there's going to be reasons why some civilians will be going on to base. And now, didn't they say? Speaking of the military for just a second, there didn't they just say that they were thinking about trying to reverse that, like the no guns on base theory? Wasn't that? Didn't that like just come up like a month or two ago? That they were thinking about trying to rescind that. Again, I'm not sure if they did or not.
I think they may have already actually done it too, but I don't know what's the point because number one, at least from my recollection of it, there's no danger really. I mean, I can understand making it available, but then I wouldn't want to have to or nothing. I mean, they're annoying to have to deal with your issue gun, especially if you're not doing anything with it. You know, you just have to be responsible for it, and it's in the way. So I'm happy with it being in the armory when I'm not using it. But
well, at least, well, haven't you guys told me before? Like even the gate guys, even they have either like one or none.
That's different.
That's what I meant.
Arm. I don't know. It seems silly to not arm the freaking people that are there to guard the place and that are on watch or whatever. That makes no sense. That's like not arming the cops.
I was saying the MPs too. You know, in my opinion, they should be armed as well.
I don't think. I think we're talking about the ability for like somebody to have CCW and be on the base.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was too, wasn't it? It was there was a potential for the military to honor the CCW issuance potentially. I'm not sure if that ever went the whole way or not. And I know that I sidetracked it with that.
We should add that to the Every Second Matters wiki though, because I don't think I know that I didn't put it on there.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. And thanks for going back to the first subject there. I think we definitely, I don't know, I wasn't here for the beginning of it, so I don't know if we really added anything to it, but definitely.
Not really. You probably took away from my expert like synopsis, but whatever. People are used to it.
I'm like that from time to time.
People are used to that.
It happens.
All right, so then that'll take us into entertainment, which is where you both rudely interrupted. I was almost done with the show. I could have got out of here in like 11 minutes today. But anyhow, we're now up to entertainment. So today we're talking about Gun Channel's Book Club, book on tapes. Wait, no. How about a Gun Channel's book club on books from people such as John Lott or Massad Ayoob?
Is this Oprah? Is this the Oprah Book Club? Is that what we're talking about?
Gun Channel's proved, gets a little G on the cover, and then you know it's a good book.
Well, I know we kind of started that when you started doing some of the references for Amazon and stuff like that.
Kind of, yeah. We have a massive freaking library. So just go to Gun Channel's library, Gun Channel's book club right here. And then, yeah, every time we talk about, well, for a long time there, every time we talked about books, somebody would just open that up and add links, you know, add to...
add another book to the list or whatever.
Yeah. So basically the idea is that people could browse through it then and, you know, get ideas for what to read or what. So do you got favorites? You read the books?
Words and paper? I've been known to.
Oh, we were talking about the Starship Troopers, I guess, yesterday.
Which apparently is a fantastic book according to some people that have read it. I do read. I find that, you know, maybe I need to change the subject matter of some of the stuff that I read. Some of it's going to be nonfiction, title charts, how to survive on a tropical island, you know, some stuff like that. But then, like, a lot of the other stuff is, like, Robert E. Howard is one of my favorite authors. Hunter S. Thompson, another one of my favorite authors. So, like, I'm going to read some stuff like that. But I do acknowledge that, like, Marcinko and a bunch of those other guys, like, they make quality books. I'm not going to, you know, try and say that they don't. I just haven't gotten into them yet, I guess. Because what is it, Shadow Warrior? Is that, like, the first one that I need to read, basically? Or something like that?
Wait, sorry, I'm reading the review of this book here. What? Shadow Warriors? Yeah.
Oh, I was saying I don't really read all the operator handbooks and stuff like that, or fiction so much either. So I was just wondering, like, so I'd like to read Marcinko and stuff like that. I wouldn't have a problem reading something by Massad Ayoob either, because I know that he's a very eloquent speaker. So therefore, my opinion of his writing is going to be it's probably pretty succinct and digestible.
That's a good description of it. Yeah. It's full though. It's you read it more than once. There's a lot in it.
Well, and that's kind of like John Lott as well. I mean, he's very statistic heavy and stuff. So that's not something you just, grab an iced tea and oh, I'm going to read John Lott this afternoon because it's, beautiful sunny day. That's something you have to be in the right mindset to really sit down and, dig into. But I really like Massad's writing. I read a lot of his articles in Handgunner magazine. He does a special, like he does a segment, every month.
Yep, I would definitely agree with that.
That's the first one I flip to, and then I go back and read the other stuff. But I can't say that I've really read that many like gun books. I probably should, but
I fall back on the Time Life Old West books. Those are like the other, like I guess those would probably be the only gun books or whatever that I have read or read for the most part. Because I mean, like the SAS Survival or the U.S. Special Forces Handbook and stuff like that. Like that's nonfiction. That's not really, you're not reading it for a story. You're just reading it for some reference material and stuff like that. So,
well, there is one example. I read this book a while ago, but it was Tom Clancy Net Force. It's a whole series, and it takes place in the future. But what's kind of funny is he actually references like smart guns. And I read this like when I was in high school. And it basically, like the main character was talking about like, he was looking at the gun and how it had all these like stupid warnings on the barrel. He's like, man, it's like they wrote the whole owner's manual on the slide. And it just instantly made me think of Ruger. So, I laughed. But then it only works with if you have the right ring or something and all this stuff. And I didn't even, it was before smart guns was like a thing, right? He was like speculating on this stuff. And I believe there was a scene where his partner like loses their gun or whatever, and he grabs it and then it won't work. So it's actually, I was like, wow, that's like, looking back at it, that's a very good example of why smart guns are dumb. And it was just thrown in there, like as a side note to the story as they're going in this virtual reality thing, trying to, catch people or whatever.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know that Mac Bolin or Stainless Steel Red, if those count as gun books, to be honest with you. If you lived in the 80s, you may know the two characters I was just talking about. If not, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, it says books from people such as John Lott or Massad Ayoob. So we're going, I guess, off topic. If the John Lott and Massad Ayoob being gun advocates and instructors, given information more than entertainment.
Yes, and man, it seems like you can catch some of those articles from those particular people, like you were saying, like on a web page or something like that these days. I don't even, because if it's How About a Gun Channel's book club, we kind of decided we do have that already for the most part, right? We just don't have a specific channel for it. We just have a tab for it, correct?
Oh, the tab goes to a channel. The channel is channels, Gun Channel's book club.
Oh, well then, as far as How About It, we got one.
Yeah, we linked to it before. So yeah, you can dig into there, and then whenever I post one, I try to put a link in there so that if you look at it from Amazon, you buy it through Amazon, we get a small cut of that. So anything you might end up snagging off there, we do appreciate it. That helps keep the lights on, as they say.
So then, yeah, I'll just go back to then on those types of stuff. Then it's something you have to be in the right mindset to read those types of books. But as far as referencing and stuff, it might be nice to have laying around too, right? You never know if you have to ever. It's just like training material. If you take, your CCW class, you keep your notebook and review it every once in a while and print stuff up about laws or whatever and keep it. Like I have a whole binder that would be like my, training folder or whatever. So it wouldn't be half bad to have books like that, especially the Massad Ayoob. Because then if, I think in his class, right, doesn't he say like this, keep your binder and keep your notes and stuff, because if you ever are in court, you can pull that out, and that now is like Exhibit A or whatever, and that is a way of getting that knowledge into like the juror's head and stuff like that. So now they're looking at it from the same point of view.
Not just taking your notes and putting them on the shelf. You take your notes and you get them as polished as you can, basically, like as prepared as you can, I should say. And once you've done that, you take a copy of those and you put your originals on the shelf so you can reference them and have them. But then you take that copy and you put it in a certified letter to yourself. And then that way it's dated with a government agency and it's sealed. And then you put that in your lawyer's office or something. And then if it needs to, worst case scenario, you have that there as a court. Like that's a document they can.
Okay, so like a poor man's patent.
I guess so, yeah. So you're basically giving it as much possible authority as possible, right?
Yeah, I just remembered hearing that. I have to say I haven't taken a Massad Ayoob class, otherwise I'm sure I would have remembered that better. But anyways, I think the point of it is having a library of training material. That other part is an aside. You have some books in your library too, and review them every once in a while.
I always had because that's all there was before the internet. And then you could get periodicals like magazines for current info, and then for alternate points of view, I guess. Although books, for the longest time, you figured if it was in a book, it was, the authority on the matter. So magazines would be like an alternative to that. But now that we have the computers and the internet, even though Al Gore suggested we throw away all our books and burn them for the atmosphere, I think that it's worth keeping them, because if the internet's, even though it's not, if Skynet turned it off or something, like if the internet's go down, then you've got all those actual useful pictures and words that you can still access, and they're not gone with an EMP or with a power failure.
Well, or if you're in a heated discussion in a gun channels chat, that sometimes the facts are always nice to be able to anecdote when you're trying to destroy or discredit your opponent. Nobody else does that?
No, facts are always on my side.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just always.
Time is always on my side. Excuse me, time.
Nah, time keeps on ticking into the future.
All right.
Time ticking in my head.
But anyways, I think the moral of the story is, yeah, we have a book thing. People should read books and stuff.
Read books good.
Me read book real good.
Is this the Wednesday tactical quiz?
No, this is the pop quiz.
You have a question?
That's the pop quiz.
Do you have a question for the pop quiz?
Oh, I have a question for the pop quiz. So this one is going out to people. So, okay, so if you don't know, you were supposed to duck and cover. Dana wasn't here to tell you, so I might have just killed a good number of the audience. It's not our problem. You have to read the fine print when the podcast starts. We're going to shoot we're going to shoot an M60 at you at some point during the show, and that means that it's time for our tactical pop quiz. It could happen at any moment, and it just happened right now. We're in it right now. It's happening. So there's a question that's going to be asked, and the the first one to respond from either the gun channel side or I guess the YouTube side will be the winner. And then you will win a chance to head over to our website, which is dailygunshow.com. And there we have a patch panel, and it's got a bunch of patches that we either build here in Tucson ourselves or that we have made for us with our designs. Some of them are patches that have been donated for the cause so that people have a variety there. And then some we've bought at gun shows and stuff over the years to, again, have a variety on the patch panel. So we invite you as a winner to check out the patch panel and choose one. Let us know where to send it. We always ask you for a second and third choice, although out of the hundreds that we've sent out now, literally hundreds, like a couple of 3 times we've had to go to the second choice. We almost never have to go to second choice, but that's how it works. We have this big patch panel. As a winner of the tactical quiz, you head over there, or I guess one of the tactical pop quizzes. You head over there, and then you are the happy recipient. So today's...
would you place the answer in the internal so we can help, or you got this?
Oh, sure.
Or should it be something that I should just know?
So today's tactical pop quiz question is... Oh, we need a drum. We should have a drum roll. We don't have any sound effects at all anymore, really.
Hold up.
Is he really going to a drum kit?
It's not possible for this guy to come up with a drum roll off the cuff like this.
Oh, dude, I think he's got a drum kit.
What?
This is why you keep me around, dude. Come on now. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't expect it to be over that soon. So the type of nylon apparel you might decide to wear when there's a light breeze or perhaps name the type of nylon apparel you might wear if there was a slight breeze and perhaps a drizzle.
Boom. I think we got a tie between Roomtastic and Robbie. So I don't know how you want to do this, because I mean, dude, it was...
Well, first off, I don't even have the clock noise up yet, so hold on.
Well,
that's what I was trying to get the hi-hat.
Okay, we have a winner?
Well, it's between Robbie and Vroomtastic, because literally they came up at the exact moment.
Well, I'm responsible for coming up. I had to come up with the question, so I come up with it.
Well, I think we are going to have a question off. Oh, well, wait a minute. Robbie says give it to Vroomtastic because he's magnanimous.
Basically giving it to the YouTube side.
He is.
Unprecedented, but I guess it just happened right there.
That's a gentleman right there.
I guess.
That's cool, Robbie.
You got to give him credit, though, because normally the YouTube lags. So the fact that he was on par.
Yep. Vroomtastic, I think, has been a winner. Maybe it's been a while. So, Vroomtastic, you got it. You are the winner today. You are the tactical pop quiz winner today. That makes you the Wednesday tactical pop quiz hot shot for today. So, way to make it happen. And yes, send your thank yous to Robbie because he's all right. He is, and that is the truth. But I think G-Web's put the link in for you, Roomtastic. So give it a whirl, and if you like, definitely we don't mind a hashtag for Daily Gun Show if you're gonna post it on Instagram or whatever your choices and stuff like that. We always do appreciate the participation. But I thought I heard Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin coming, so I better be quiet.
Dana likes to think people come around for that pop quiz, but that's just practice for the actual tactical quiz, which wins overall. So now we're going to have our actual tactical quiz for the week, which happens every Wednesday. And I spent hours on this one today. And this one will be a audio email version of the pop quiz. No, what am I saying? Pop quiz of the tactical quiz, so that people who are listening via the podcast later, which is hundreds of people, so I don't know why people don't email in, that you can participate as well. So what you'll hear are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people talking, and they will say things. And what you will need to do is create an email and put the addressee, the recipient of the email is dailygunshow@gmail.com. Then for the subject, put in, what is today? February 15 tactical quiz or something like that. And then get ready to fill out the email with like numbers 1 through 5 or whatever. And then identify the 5 human beings that will be making sound, making words. Is that clear for everybody?
Who said it?
Yeah, we're basically playing a game of who said it. Who said, and not what they said or where they said or anything like that, just from the voices, identify the individuals. If you decide to type it up on the screen, you're either giving it away to everybody else or not understanding the simple rules. So create an email, send it to dailygunshow@gmail.com. Then the subject is February 15th tactical quiz, number it 1 through 5, and this will be the first human being to identify.
Hold 1 sec, please pause. Just to double check. Real person or character name?
Human beings, none of that weird stuff. Human beings.
Okay, so the human being's name.
Yep.
And that is contrary to what Mr. Ponnery just put.
So I have to turn it up really loud so that you can hear the thing, and then I'm sure it's going to get feedback when you guys say stuff, so that's why I'm trying to. Okay, so I'm hitting the button for the first one. Number 1.
If there's one thing that I've learned about the gun debate in America, it's that anti-gun politicians are nothing more than political predators. They prey on the ignorance of people who don't follow the gun debate. When President Obama says this,
a violent felon can buy the exact same
not
weapon.
This guy. We all know who Obama is. Not this guy.
Check. No questions asked.
He's not talking to me or anyone who knows the actual gun buying process. He's talking to people who have never thought about the gun debate a day in their life. People who wouldn't know how to buy a gun at a gun store, much less how to buy a gun online. The biggest mistake made by people who oppose anti-gun politicians like President Obama is thinking that they're stupid. You don't get to these positions by being stupid. President Obama is consistently praised for his speaking ability. He knows exactly what he's saying and not saying. Instead of being more precise with his language and say a violent felon can buy a gun he saw online in a face-to-face transaction with a private seller without a background check, he deceptively leaves those keywords out. Now,
all right, that was the first one. And now we will go to the
That's a meatball.
You saying that's too easy?
I'm saying that's right over home plate. No, I like it. That's good. I like it.
Number 2.
Well, it's really kind of easy. I guess there are 2 things, though. The first thing, of course, is a really important issue, personal freedom, and it's something you have to fight for, and we're constantly being attacked every day. So it's not too hard to be out there defending gun rights when somebody's, throwing tomatoes at you every day, so to speak. The second thing that really means a lot to me and recharges my batteries and pumps me up is when I travel around the country defending gun rights, all the people that come up to me and thank me for doing it. And then you realize how important it is to so many people, and you really represent the masses. And then it means so much that it just keeps you going day after day.
Well, I'm grateful for it.
Not that guy, the guy who was just talking. Okay, so now number 3.
We're not the gun lobby. We're the hired guns of the gun lobby. We work for you. We tell you what's going on. We're paid to keep an eye on these guys, to try and tell these guys what you think, and to let you know what these guys are doing. But then we call back on you, and you are the gun lobby.
Is that another over the home plate? Is it too easy? This will be number 4.
But specifically in the area of who is a dealer, that's an issue that's not in a gray area where the president might have the excuse that Congress didn't act. Congress years ago very specifically said who a dealer is and who is not a dealer. And a dealer is somebody who makes their living from selling firearms, not an occasional sale, not even maybe a nice $1,000 profit someday at a gun show, but a living. And that's not what's at issue here. And he's not at liberty to redefine a congressionally defined definition in the law.
So, Larry,
Not that.
Whoops.
Trying to spoil everything for us. And then this will be number 5, the 5th human being.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a reaction that we've seen many times. People see a crime that occurs with guns, and they think the solution is merely to ban guns. The problem is that every place in the world, whether it's been a city or whether it's been a country or even what one would think would be the ideal experiment, an island nation that has no neighbors to go and blame for their guns, every single time you've seen guns banned, murder rates go up, and often by extremely large amounts. And
Is that enough? I think that'll be number 5. So
Very good lineup of people.
And honestly, I got a couple of them because it was a couple of them I will say was easy.
too easy.
And then a couple of them, if I wasn't looking at the answers, I would like have recognized it a little bit. But then after you'd given me the answer, I'd go, oh yeah, that one and that one.
We
and
made
or that
a
one.
very special catch panel for the tactical quiz because we're going to start separating the top
The wheat
quiz
from the chaff.
with the tactical quiz, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it up a level, and that'll keep our audience on their toes.
And I will say that some of those are the softest speaking pit bulls that we could possibly have on our side.
Oh yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, you know, if you ever do one of those like games, like, you know, pick famous people you could have lunch with or whatever. If there was a thing that was like, go hang out with 5 people for lunch, you might have just picked them all, man.
Wow.
As far as like from activism goes, like, could you imagine sitting at a table with all 5 of them together?
I've been in a room with 4 of them together.
Yeah, I know. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I can only imagine that could be a good time, or would it be Thunderdome?
No, it's like the most recharge. It's like being a human battery in a battery charge.
And it just fills you with so much spirit, as it were, that you can hardly be contained. I like it.
And the thing is, some of them may disagree with each other on tactics or on, you know, even policies sometimes or whatever.
The plan.
Yeah, but even still, from what I've seen just from the internet, because I haven't seen any of them in person, but they still get along. Like, they can have a disagreement and say, well, actually, I think it's better, you know, politically to do this. And the person says, well, actually, I disagree with that, and here's why. And they go back and forth, and then they shake hands, and they go on without their day.
Could one safely say that they are all on, air quotes, our side? Like, hands down, no doubt, like, straight up.
You want to spoil the technical quiz, I guess you can do stuff like that.
Well, then I'll just stop giving hints, I guess.
Why don't we move on, instead of giving away the answers to the technical quiz, why don't we move on to the
gun shop
of the day?
Yeah.
All right. So every day we like to mention a gun shop. One of the reasons we do a daily show is so that we can talk about a gun shop every day. And this week we're featuring some gun museums. And today it's the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum in Tulsa, which I don't know if we need to spend a heck of a lot of time on it. We've literally devoted entire shows to it in the past, and we will in the future. But since we're talking about firearms museums, it obviously is probably the best. Well, it is the best one, so it's worth mentioning. So it's in Tulsa, and it's basically a private firearms collection from a guy who was an entrepreneur and a businessman, and he probably traveled with firearms, I bet. But as a hotel owner on Route 66, he was looking for something to set his hotel apart and for people to remember, and something to have interesting, you know, some reason to come back or to even stop. And he started to display his collections of steins and cash registers, I think, and guns. And that was the more popular one of the 3, or the other things that he collected. And his collection of guns grew as he collected them. And then he put them up in the hotel, and then down the hallways, and eventually into some of the rooms. So if you can imagine staying at a hotel and the rooms are lined with little revolvers and stuff, it'll be pretty cool. So whenever he didn't have I don't know what the actual story is, but whenever he was getting to a point where the gun collection was, well, one of the largest private collections, period, and he knew he was getting to the end of his life, he made an arrangement with the state of Oklahoma to give the collection to them for like to keep track of or to hold, as long as they had a couple of stipulations. They kept it open to the public for free, and they've done that, and they have it basically the size of a standalone pretty big shopping center or pretty big store. It's like a big standalone building, and it's awesome. It's got his entire collection, the collection that continues to grow with additions from the police departments and people that donate to it, and it's free. You just walk in there and there's a jar if you want to throw money in. You're a douchebag if you don't, but you can walk around at your leisure and check out like basically one of the best collections ever of firearms. It's in Tulsa, just northeast of town, and if you're traveling down, I think it's 40 through Tulsa and Oklahoma City through St. Louis, then do yourself a favor, stop in Tulsa and take a day at least to hang out at that museum.
Yeah, it's definitely very cool.
All right, so since we're talking about it, we might as well mention that as the next Tulsa gun show happens here, I'm looking for the date. I think it's April 1st in Tulsa. There'll be a bunch of people from gun channels meeting up, and I'm sure we'll tour the museum again. So if it's something that you're interested in attending or participating in or joining in, then put it on your calendar, April 1st.
April Fool's Day.
We'll talk about that tomorrow, I guess, too.
Tomorrow's the events day.
Yep. All right, so that was the gun shop of the day. Like I say, every day we like to feature a gun shop. If you'd like to feature a gun shop, remember you have a camera in your pocket if you carry your phone around, and all you got to do is ask the people that run the shop if it's okay to share some pictures online. Almost always they say yes, and take some pictures, share them online, wherever it might be, Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or your podcast or blog or something, and then send us a link to it. Or if you don't do all that stuff, feel free to send us some pictures, and we'll be happy to share them. That's the whole point of this segment of the show and why we do it every single day. So we do some other segments every single day. I'm going to go out of order and do the healthy tip real quick. So try to keep people aware that the most important part of the firearm is the part that pulls the trigger. So today it's shooting long range or sporting clays. So I guess the idea is shoot something that gets you up and walking, right? So you shoot long range, you got to go out there and fiddle with your target or tape it or get it and put it out there. That gets you walking. Sporting clays, as opposed to trap or skeet, is more of like golf or something. You're walking around with your shotgun. So pretty leisurely. It's not strenuous. And same with long range shooting, really. You can spend all day unless you're at a public range or something where everybody's waiting on you. If you're just out in the woods or desert, you can spend all day walking out there if you want. And it might be a way to get some of those miles in that we talk about tracking monthly.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, I definitely like sporting clays. That's something I want to get back into. I used to go with my buddy about once a month, and that was years ago. I need to call him up and be like, hey, what are you doing on weekends? Let's go.
I got to get my shotgun fixed, but then they got the Maui Trap and Gun Club is one that's trap, but we do have a couple of sporting clay spots. A little more expensive than the other one, but the scenery is pretty fantastic.
So is that like on some kind of hill where you're looking at the stupid
ocean? A little more expensive than the other one, but the scenery is pretty fantastic.
Oops. So is that one of them deals where you're walking around like tropical jungle looking out at the ocean as you're doing your sporting clays?
Not quite tropical jungle, but tropical, yes. And yes. Scenery everywhere.
Imagine it's a whole nother level of difficulty when you're about to shoot at a flying clay or whatever, and then like a shark jumps up and eats a seal.
Yeah, that would be pretty distracting. Usually we're not that close to the ocean where that would be readily visible. But I guess I couldn't say that it's never happened, though.
I meant a big shark.
Yeah, where the sporting clays place is quite some distance. Do you remember when I posted the secret squirrel range on Instagram, G?
Mm-hmm.
Kinda.
Yeah, we put that on.
So if you were looking down from there, actually the sporting clay place is just down the hill from there a little bit. You have to approach it from a totally different angle and different roads and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's...
Since we're sort of talking about that a little bit, do they give you crazy restrictions like no lead since it's an island?
Man, I don't think so. Like I hadn't heard steel shot mandatory yet, but I've only shot at the one place. So
I just kind of figured it would be, what do they do with all that lead? If they, I mean, I guess it's a big enough island, they could use it for something. They can melt it and use it for tire weights or something. But I just figured that I could see that being a place, if they're worried about it at some little pond in the middle of Nebraska, I could see them being concerned about lead accumulation on an island where you only have so much fresh water, right?
Well, and I do remember, like at the trap place, like they don't want you shooting, like 2, 4, like I don't think they want you going any heavier than 6. Actually, they might not even want you doing 6. They want like 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8. Like they just at the one place, they just want the light stuff.
That's unreasonable. I usually shoot with slug because I like the challenge.
Yeah, that would definitely not be allowed. Yeah, no buckshot, no slug. Double aught or otherwise. Rifled or otherwise. Now, when you go to the actual range, for the Valley Isle Sport Shooters, you can shoot slug. But that's a whole different.
They want you to shoot slug at a frame, and then you're not.
Yep.
So I feel like we did a gun shop, except we did a gun museum and a gun range today.
Nice. Yeah, we're here for the people. Peoples.
Now, I don't want the Patreons to think that we're going to charge you double, because we're not. That's how we roll. We're giving you.
That's included with the price of admission. Yes.
Free scoops. All right, so that'll take us into the gun movie of the day,
which this I think just now became free on Prime.
So we like to talk about a movie that you might not have seen before, or if you're a little kid, a movie you haven't seen yet, except everybody's probably seen this one. If you're of the kind to watch movies that are good, I guess maybe you decided not to watch it in the theaters or something. So anyway, we're talking about 13 Hours. So I'm assuming we're preaching to the choir on this one, right?
Probably. I bet you everybody out there other than me has probably seen it by now. And like I said, I think last month or this month, it just came free on Prime, so I will watch it.
Oh, you still haven't seen it?
Nah. I mean, I know what happened. I mean, it's kind of like,
And Hillary kills 4 people.
Yeah. What a jerk. But no. I imagine that this movie is going to be as heroic as I'm expecting it to be.
Yeah, I find it to be an weird movie to watch, I'm going to say, because it's interesting and is, it's an action movie. It is, that it's real life, and that's weird.
Yeah, that's a certain level of heavy duty,
Real life that just happened, right? So it's like, and there's consequences to it. Although she won't take any responsibility, we all know that there was consequences to that movie. It wasn't inspired by a heroic act and a guy died, because he wanted off. This was just people doing their jobs and doing it right, and then had to anyway. So it's a difficult one to watch, I guess. Weird. Like I say, it's emotions, feels.
So is it relatively true to life or whatever, kind of like Black Hawk Down or Tears of the Sun or something like that, where it's a pretty good view onto either what may have happened or how it may have happened, because it certainly did happen, so to speak?
Well, I mean, it's more Black Hawk Down than like Predators, like Commando or something silly.
Oh, no. Well, that's what I'm saying, because Black Hawk Down is based on a real situation, and that was a real story.
But I believe, like those movies, they had people on this filming location that were involved. So I think that's another reason why it's not just like some movie guy's interpretation decades later, dramatic, blah, 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 with the love story. This is like,
literally within 2 years, right, of it actually happening. This movie came out within 2 years.
Right, and it came out at a good time because it needed to be told, though, for the respect of the people that were involved, for sure. Not just the people that died, but everybody. Hillary, the criminal, shouldn't have allowed that. I'm glad it was made when it was. So I don't think it was exploiting it as much as letting people know about how horrible of a person she is. the fact, and Obama is also, because remember, this was purely done for election politics, nothing else. This wasn't a decision of politics or, I mean, world politics or strategy or anything. This was just a hack political move and complete utter disrespect and disregard to the people's lives and the jobs that they are doing for the country.
Who says it was because of a YouTube video and expects people to literally believe that bullshit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not even the fact that they said it. It's the fact that they would say anything other than what it was, just because they just got done saying that that couldn't happen, basically, and they didn't want to.
Yeah.
So anyway,
see, I don't want to say I'm afraid, because I do want to watch this movie. I just know that I'm probably going to get a little fucking angry-ish watching this movie.
Well, that said, if you are you are aware of what really happened, then it isn't a concern. But in the movie, by no means do they get into that. It's just
good.
In other words, if you were watching this without the context, you would go, "Well, that was an excellent action movie."
Okay.
Remember that one that was done with Navy SEALs?
What was it? Zero Dark 30?
No, the other one.
Or Act of Valor.
Act of Valor. So if you watch Act of Valor, you can go, wow, that is really cool. And I'm guessing that, that seems like probably the most realistic version, because these guys know what they're doing and they're not just being hokey or whatever. But it was of no consequence, because it was a bullshit story with just garbage, right? There was no plot, was just made up. This is, if you were watching it out of context, you'd be like, wow, that was an awesome just action movie. But because of the context, I wouldn't say that the movie itself says like, thanks, Hillary, at the end or anything. But because you know what it's about, you might get like a little bit pissed about it.
Okay, well then, and you know what, G, anytime we've ever mentioned this movie, 13 Hours, pretty much whether it's been anybody on the panel or anybody in either one of the chats, they're all reassuring me that it is a great movie and it's totally worth watching. So I guess I just need to make it happen so I can have an informed opinion when we do talk about it in the future.
And we probably will. We talk about a movie every day, and although there's more than 365 movies, we do talk about good ones more often than once. So I'm sure we'll talk about it again. And if we do some kind of theme or something, I'm sure it might show up.
Yep, and I would have to say that I noticed that, yes, we do pick good movies more often than bad. And I think every once in a while we need to kind of slip dare I say, a bad one in there, or an arguably bad one in there, just so that there's discussion. So there's different discussion, I should say. I don't know. I might be way off base on that.
No, it sounds interesting, because sometimes we want to let people know maybe about one that sucks, that might seem good, might seem legit, right?
Well, and I like some cheese movies every once in a while too, so I know that there's movies out there that I really like that y'all might just like, dude, you're out of your mind. That movie sucked. Like Outland with Sean Connery or something,
What? The movie is awesome.
Yeah, see? That's exactly what I mean. Let's see. Let's go, gun of the day?
Sure. So we're talking about Ring of Fire guns, and I will just probably screen capture.
Taking a look at the Saturday Night Special.
Without sound. At a video we did a while back on the Jennings, I guess? No, Ravens. So the Ring of Fire, interesting guns. They're called Saturday Night Specials, although they are the reaction, the consequence of the laws against Saturday Night Special. So Saturday Night Specials would be some gun prior to 68 that was inexpensive, probably imported, of low caliber and physically not very large. So when they prohibited the importation of those guns with the 1968 Gun Control Act, George Jennings, an aviation engineer, was talking to a friend of his, I guess, at least that's how the story goes, talking to a friend of his that was a gun shop owner, and he was lamenting about how there was still a customer demand for a small, inexpensive, low caliber handgun, and because of the 68 law, they were difficult to obtain, and they were no longer being imported. So George, being an entrepreneur, seeing a demand, decided he could change his aerospace parts manufacturing factory into a gun company, and looked at the Browning 25 ACP, the best pocket Browning or the baby Browning, whatever you want to call it. He looked at that and decided instead of making it out of something like metal, like steel, which requires tooling that can cut through steel, he would make it out of Zamic. And I don't know if I've ever, at least I don't remember anything that talked about his decision to use Zamic, but basically it's the metal that they make Matchbox cars out of. It's zinc. Zamic is zinc, aluminum, magnesium, and something. That's what it stands for. And it's just big pot metal, right? It's cast metal, and it's not very strong. It doesn't have the tensile strength of steel or whatever. So they put more of it on the gun, and we're familiar with it on any of these inexpensive guns, and then of course the high points, which get up into 45 ACP. So they have even more of that metal all on them, so that makes them even more bulky and big. So anyway, he decided to use Zamic because it's, as a material, your parts don't wear out. You can, your factories last longer, and you can make more guns. And because these small, inexpensive, light caliber firearms aren't necessarily used by, somebody who's carrying it every day and shooting competitions on the weekends, making it out of less than desirable metal isn't necessarily a game changer. It actually makes the gun affordable to produce and affordable to distribute. If I remember right, they cost about $14 to make, $75 wholesale to stores, and then $100 out the door as retail. And that allowed everybody to, make money with a gun that cost $100 out the door, when at the time I'm sure a 38 Smith or something was more like $250 or something. So it filled a niche for people who don't have a lot of money, or that are buying guns for a boat or something, whatever reason you might want to buy an inexpensive tool. Same reason Harbor Freight exists, right? Same reason dollar stores exist. Sometimes you don't need a $3 Q-tip. Some days you need just a $1 Q-tip. So anyway, the Ravens were the original. His son became Jennings. His daughter became Davis. A friend from his son in high school became Lorson. Cobra, Davis became Cobra. Jennings became Calwesco, and then Brayco, and then now Jimenez, and Raven itself became Phoenix. So all the companies to some extent still exist, and they all came from Raven, and that's today's gun of the day.
So G-Webs, on that very first beginning part of the video when you were holding up that first one, so S literally was for safety. It's like safety on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
No, well, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was, because at the very beginning of the video when you were holding it, and it had a big S next to the safety, so I was assuming, see it right there? Yeah.
You pull it back, and then it wouldn't have the S there anymore.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
So this is your first Raven. So that's a Bauer, but basically that's the representations. I don't have a Browning, but that
is made of steel though, and everything. The Bauer's legit, right?
Well, the Bauer's made out of stainless steel. The real one is just made out of steel, but that's the exact same physical dimensions as a baby Browning. So you can see a little bit larger, but it's still 25 ACP. The cartridge Browning created and then wrapped this gun around. So this was the gun created for the 25 ACP. So the 25 ACP was created by Browning, and then he built this gun to put around it and shoot it. And then years later, this guy looked at it and said, oh, okay, if I make it out of this other metal, I basically got to make this slide a lot bigger. So what you're looking at is a Browning. And then his kid is Jennings, the daughter is Davis. Davis turns into Cobra, Jennings turns into Calwesco, and then Brayco, and now Jimenez. Raven has the first version, the second version. At the time I made this video, I didn't have this one. They go from this serrations and that safety to these serrations and this new safety. Then they go to the new serrations and that safety. Then they go to the new serrations and the new safety. Then it turns into Phoenix arms, and they make a Raven model, which is basically the same gun with stupid grip and little shape difference. And then they make one of these without a mag safety. Then California changes infringements, and they have to comply and put a mag safety on it. And that would be every model Raven. 4 models from Raven, and then 2 models from Phoenix. And then you get your other Phoenix guns after that. But that's your, again, Raven portion of the the Ring of Fire guns.
Excellent. Thank you.
That was fun. So yeah, I'm a big fan of these things because, well, number one, they're just interesting. Number two, I think that it's interesting as far as there was one lady who was actually pretty much anti-gun who went around back in the day, in like the 80s, and interviewed all these actual individuals, people that own these factories, and talked to them. Like went to California, probably lived, I don't know. She might have lived in New York. But anyway, she went there, went to all these places. Smeggy and I have been to all these places. So that's literally like a 2-day thing, like maybe 3 days really, if you were talking to everybody. So she went there, did all the legwork, wrote an article about it, basically like a person who doesn't.
Scathing article or?
No, just it was factual and it was researched and it was good. It's just written by somebody who is like wide-eyed and like, oh, I didn't realize, who looks at it, here's a million guns and thinks that's all the evil in the world, doesn't hear a million guns and think, oh, I wonder how many jobs that was, or doesn't think a million guns and think, oh, that's interesting, because considering there's not that much crime, that's a million of just this one brand of gun. There must be a whole bunch of guns that don't get used for any crime. So she didn't come at it with a completely open mind, but she was also not completely agenda-based. This is back before media got really bad, I think, or at least at a time when she was writing, it seemed pretty decent. Anyway, what was interesting about it is that she writes this article, then later, Nightline or whatever it was called, Dateline or something on PBS, did an article, and it almost, there was then an article, basically a slam piece written by a doctor in the area.
I was gonna say the dude, yeah, he messed it up.
So he comes along and he just references her work, but he puts out a big doctor fancy work, and it's got all kinds of pages and references, and it basically says that since we can't legislate these guns out of existence because the people of California won't let us infringe them like that, what we'll do is sue them out of existence. So that's the gist of his, I don't know what you call it, like published paper. He's a doctor, so he's just writing paper to say, to say stuff. Then we get the Dateline or Frontline or whatever it is. They reference those two documents, and then every single thing I was able to research about Ring of Fire guns or Saturday Night Specials, and I swear I spent a bit of research trying to get as much data as I could. Almost every piece of data out there references those three works, and considering one of those three works references the other two exclusively, that means that this one lady and this agenda-based doctor asshole have basically capitalized the entire, like they were the first ones and the only ones to really do any actual work on these things. And then for decades, people have just been regurgitating their stuff and don't even know it sometimes, because you might regurgitate what it says in some magazine and they're just regurgitating what this chick wrote in 1980 or what somebody said about what she wrote in 80. So I find that ultimately fascinating, since we're about to most people would just throw these guns, all of them, under the bus. Like, we don't need these guns. If you're going to ban a gun, ban these. And in a lot of ways, it's just like your dumbass cousin or something. Like, they're still family.
It's just like your dumbass cousin.
So anyway,
I relate to that statement. I just sometimes wonder if I'm the cousin or they're the cousin.
Yeah. Guess it just depends on which way you're looking. But
right, what are we talking about?
It's also neat because the family is, it's a story of an entrepreneurial family. It's a story of capitalists. It's a story of supply and demand. It's a story of the 1968 Gun Control Act trying to do something and completely being ineffective, created millionaires. It's a story of a dad who has a successful business. His son sees it and walks in his dad's footsteps and creates a similar company that works basically in harmony, building a gun in a different caliber, but basically same techniques, right? And then the daughter and the guy who was running the dad's factory get married, and they start another company. They take the gun and they build it up to 380 and 32 ACP. So the son scales it down to 22. The daughter scales it up. They're all three building guns. The daughter and her husband start to build Remington-style Derringers and add other varieties to their mix. And then all kinds of stuff starts happening. People like have feuds amongst brothers and sisters.
Say that's when the weird stuff starts happening. Yeah.
Not weird. It's just everyday life. I mean, people get divorced. Brothers get mad at each other. Like a cousin comes along and pisses everybody off, and they have to take him to court because he's trying to, emulate a business practice. And then the nephew comes along and nobody's upset about it. He has a successful business for a minute, but soups up a gun that nobody wants to be souped up, so it fails. It's just an interesting sort of model of the way that capitalism works, really. So I just think it's such an interesting thing. And because most of my guns cost like 20 or 30 bucks because they're broke or just nobody cared about them. Some of them cost 100, but most of them cost nowhere near. They're so inexpensive that you can actually tangibly hold all that history. And there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them made. So, I mean, any gun show, you're going to find something.
So it literally is the story of the Kennedys of the Saturday night specials, basically. Literally.
I don't really know about the Kennedys, but I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, there's some infighting and all sorts of crazy stuff between grandpa, son, father, all that kind of, and cousins, and yeah, plenty of weird stuff like that. So that's very cool. And I wonder, G, since you were talking like it started in '68 or whatever, and a lot of this stuff that you were able to grasp is all stuff off the internet for the most part. I just wonder, were there any articles ever written, that you would have had to have checked out, like your card catalog or something like that? Just something that's not, it never got transcribed to the internet. And I probably have a harder time believing that that's even possible these days because so much other stuff from before the internet has been transcribed to the internet. So,
well, it's hard to say. And if it's transcribed to the internet, is it searchable on the web, or is it searchable in the system or the library or whatever it is that did the work? And are they? I don't know. So that's a good question. There are sources beyond just doing a Google search. One of the resources I found was a forum. I call it the Zamek Forum, but I think it's really called the Brico Lorson Jimenez Forum or something crazy like that. Anyway, there's links to it all over when you type in Zamek guns. And a bunch of people that like the guns for various reasons. There's a lot more of them than the ones I look at, but because those companies all made lots and lots of models, they were very, what's the word? They're very productive. They made lots and lots of stuff, and there was lots and lots of companies. But occasionally we'll get people in there that worked at the factories or that somehow maybe distributed back then, or we're involved somehow with them, and they'll give us insight that, like you say, it's never been published, never been written down, probably, except for in that when somebody typed it into a forum for the first time. But that's how we learned a lot about the guns that when we were talking about Lorson the other day and stuff. So probably accurate, but then again, we have no reason to disbelieve them. But on the other hand, how the hell do you verify if somebody's just talking a bunch of smack?
Well, a question on a side note, as far as Saturday night specials go, Saturday night special is not all inclusive of these ones that we've mentioned for the Ring of Fire, correct? Like, is a Grendel a Saturday night special?
No.
Well, I know what the rest of the phrase is for Saturday night special, and I'm not going to say it.
No,
so
Saturday night specials by definition really need to have been built before 1968.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not a Saturday night special because they banned Saturday night specials in 1968, technically.
Right.
Or at least restricted them from import, and then with the attempt to ban them. So anyway, you're talking like your Romes and your RGs and those kind of things are your Saturday night specials. And then of course all the weird stuff from like in Spain and Italy and Germany, probably just the little cheap 25 clones.
Well, and that's why they got to ban them, because it was also part of that import ban or whatever, like you're saying, from the '68 crime omnibus, right? That was part of the other reason they were able to ban that stuff.
Yeah. And some people speculate that it had to do with Colt and Smith & Wesson and Ruger not liking competition from $60
Could be
from overseas.
Well, who's to say whether they threw money at a lobby or, who's to say? I guess as far as business go, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That wouldn't shock me at all.
At least they weren't going to fight real hard. I mean, it would be against their best interests, I guess. Not maybe best interest, but against their financial interests. Their best interest would be have complete freedom of the Second Amendment, I really think.
Truly.
All right, well, so that was a very long gun of the day, and
well, I just wanted to comment one thing on that, though. One of the things I like about the Ring of Fire guns is, as you alluded to, we went and visited them. Some of them are like 10 minutes from each other. Like you jump on the highway, you go down to the next exit, and then you go down this other road, and then you're at the next one.
Oh,
I thought that was kind of cool.
That, though, is we weren't putting that necessarily in the context of years. So while they were 10 minutes from each other, they might be a decade apart, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's even
true, because some of them went out of business and then other ones started up. You're right.
Yeah. And we also didn't we went to a specimen factory from each one because of the time constraints, but some of them switched factories like 3 times. So they had 3 different locations over the years. And we didn't check out every one of everyone yet.
I still think it's cool
So
that you
you're
guys
telling
were
me I
able
got to
to
go
do
back to
that.
California and go to more places? Come on, I thought I had my checklist.
Next time you're in Tijuana, let me know.
All right, we'll do.
Oh, we've seen whatever, 8 of them or 9 of them now, so it's a few.
You guys didn't. Never mind. That's for off air. I'm gonna just drop it. Never mind.
All right, so then anyway, again, that was the gun of the day. And if you ever have a suggestion for a gun of the day, feel free to email it to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I think we hit everything already. That was it.
And I saw what you got planned here, so I don't know how to set that up other than thank you everybody for listening today. We always appreciate the audience participation, whether it's future in the podcast or it's current on YouTube and gun channels. We definitely want to thank everybody. Patreon, Patreon supporters. We definitely want to thank you guys. You guys are helping keeping everything going, and just everybody have a good day out there.
All right, and then we'll remind everybody that we did have the tactical quiz today. It's an audio tactical quiz, so if you missed it, you still have a chance to participate. Go back, listen to, rewind it or whatever, or if you just got here, or if you've already listened, remember you can enter into the tactical quiz. We'll probably pick the winner on Friday. I think we figured is better than wait until Monday so that there's conclusion right away.
Yep.
And I believe the last time you did the email, only one person emailed in or something? So come on, guys. It's not that hard to write an email. Send your stuff in. Your chances are probably still good. Even if you only got a couple right, send it in anyways. Like, who cares? Maybe no one got all of them right.
There might be a very special tactical quiz patch panel.
What? Oh, one thing we did forget. Well, I shouldn't say we forgot. We didn't forget it yet, but it was gun channels today. So this, of course, was Daily Gun Show. Next, we got Matt, Never Enough Ammo, with his Wednesday Guns and Politics chat. I'm not sure that there. I think We Like Shooting might be having a second show of the week tonight as well. Other than that, I'm not sure of anybody else going tonight. I know Early Watch is going to be going on in the morning, and those guys are holding it down, kicking some serious ass. And, of course, various intermittent lobby chats all over the place. And, again, much appreciation to all of our hosts here on Gun Channels. We definitely appreciate the effort.
You're welcome.
All right, I guess that would be episode
248.
So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, for episode 249. Uh-oh, I think we know what our gun of the day is going to be tomorrow.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.